Good morning, students. In the previous class, we have discussed about the pyramid of numbers and pyramid of energy. Today, we will discuss about the pyramid of biomass. As the word biomass, which means the weight of all organisms of a population, which constitutes a trophic level in the ecosystem. So, the biomass, it means the total weight of all the organisms of a population which constitutes a particular trophic level in the ecosystem. The total of the biomasses of all the trophic levels forms the biomass of community or ecosystem. So this pyramid indicates the decrease in biomass at trophic level from base to apex. The biomass of producers, that is the plants, is the greatest. So we may observe the diagram showing the pyramid of biomass. If the biomass masses of the producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, they are arranged in the form of graph keeping the biomass of the producer at the base. So at the base, do we have kept the biomass of the producer and the biomass of top consumer at the top. It presents a view of the pyramid and which is known as the pyramid of biomass. It is clear by the fact that successive steps of trophic levels are able only in converting the organic materials stored by the producers in the form of their useful material to a very less extent. For example, in the case shown here, in a case of forest ecosystem, the biomass of producers, which are the grasses here and trees, they are large. Then the biomass of the primary consumers, for example, the rats which have been shown here, then to the rats, it further decreases. In the next stage, that is the biomass of the snake is too less in comparison to the biomass of the vultures or eagles. Now, we will discuss about another topic which is biological magnification or biomagnification. As it is the process in which we observe the increase in the concentration of persistent pollutant or other substances like toxic chemicals or heavy metals, etc., per unit weight of the organism with the rise in trophic level. So, we can say the successive increase in the concentration of certain chemicals through different food levels of a food chain in an ecosystem is called as biological magnification. It is caused by the non-utilization of the substances in metabolism. So these substances which are toxic in nature, they are not being utilized by the body and it causes its accumulation in fat and non-breakdown by the decomposers. For example, we may consider we use different types of harmful and toxic pesticides used to protect the crops and they manage to escape in the soil or in the water bodies like ponds, lakes or rivers. As they are non-biodegradable, so these pesticides are not destroyed and they enter the food chain at the level of producers by absorption along with water and minerals. So from producers, they enter the herbivores and then from herbivores into carnivores. And as they move up in the food chain, they become more and more concentrated at each trophic level. So in one case study, we can observe the data which has been reflected here, that water bodies were found to contain around about 0.02 ppm, means parts per million of DDT, which is not now used today, and the phytoplanktons and the zooplanktons which consume this water were found to contain around about 5 ppm concentration of DDT within their bodies. And the fish, they feeding upon these planktons, had around about 240 ppm DDT in their body tissues. Likewise, the DDT concentration reached to 1600 parts per million in the birds feeding on these fishes. So, through this flow chart, we may understand that the amount of toxic and non-biodegradable substances increases with successive trophic levels, and men at the top in the food chain accumulates the maximum concentration of such toxic non-biodegradable substances in the body. So the problem is that these substances cannot be removed from the food items. Like the food items do we consume on a daily basis, like that the wheat, vegetables, rice, pulses, fruits, like that. So by washing or by through other means. So it is our prime duty to stop using these types of harmful toxic chemicals which are harmful for us also as well as for the other life forms. Now we will discuss another aspect, which is the human impact on the natural environment. As we human beings, we form an important and integral part of the environment. Our activities change the environment around us, and the environment ultimately affects us. So, the most importantly, here we'll discuss about the ozone depletion. So, as we know, ozone, it is a triatomic gas formed of 3 atoms of oxygen. An ozone layer is present at a height of around about 15 km to 60 km in the upper atmosphere. On the ground level, ozone gas is very poisonous, but at the higher levels in the atmosphere, ozone layer is very important for the existence of life on the earth. So, as the ozone layer, it surrounds the planet Earth. It helps to absorb the ultraviolet radiations of the sun and prevents them from reaching the earth. These radiations have extremely harmful effect on human beings, animals as well as plants. For example, these ultraviolet radiations can cause skin cancer. They may damage the eyes by causing cataract. It also lowers our immune system by lowering the body's resistance to the diseases. It also decreases the crop yield as well as the rainfall pattern. It also gets disturbed on the global basis. So, we'll first of all try to understand how the ozone its formation takes place in the atmosphere. Ozone at the higher levels of atmosphere is a product of ultraviolet radiations acting on oxygen molecule. The high energy ultraviolet radiations split apart some molecular oxygen into free oxygen atoms that are very reactive, and these atoms then combine with the molecular oxygen to form ozone. So, due to presence of high energy, the ultraviolet radiations, they are capable to break down the oxygen molecule into free atoms of oxygen, and later on these oxygen atoms, they combine with the molecular oxygen to form the ozone. So, if we consider the reasons or the factors for the ozone layer depletion, we may say that the substances which are used in certain forms which act as ozone depleting substances or ODS, like chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, and other halogens. So these chemicals are used in the refrigeration purposes, in the fire extinguishers, and aerosols in the air. So chlorofluorocarbons destroy the ozone layer gradually and make it thinner. So due to which it allows more ultraviolet radiations reaching the earth. So as these CFCs, they are very stable compounds, they are found to persist in the atmosphere, and being stable, they do not degrade easily and rises high up in the atmosphere. In the atmosphere, the ultraviolet radiations break down CFC molecules, resulting in release of chlorine atoms, which on reacting with ozone dissociates ozone molecules into oxygen. So as we may observe through the equation that these chlorofluorocarbons, they do under the presence of ultraviolet radiations, they release the chlorine atoms, and which further on these chlorine atoms, they react with the ozone molecule to break down it further and dissociating ozone molecules into oxygen. So here we may sum up the effects of ozone layer depletion, as the thinning of the ozone layer has already started showing adverse effect on the life on the earth and on men. We may consider more mutations in plants and animals leading to sterility, low production rate, and low viability. Second point, decline in the rate of photosynthesis. Third point, which is correlated to the second point, increase in the carbon dioxide concentration in the absence or due to the reduced photosynthesis, resulting in global warming. The fourth point, in humans, it causes different types of adverse effect due to the ultraviolet radiations, like the skin cancer, affects the immune system, makes the person more susceptible to diseases, affecting the eyesight, photo burning, and increase in the cases of cataract. So we can say in case of the ozone layer, if it gets depleted or it is destroyed completely, the ultraviolet radiations from the sun would reach us and life will come to an end. So we have to try to minimize the use of different types of these CFCs and other ODS, which are ozone depleting substances. So the efforts are always being carried out at international level to protect the ozone layer and maintain it at least at the level it has reached if we cannot restore it. The Montreal Protocol was prepared by the United Nations Environment Programme in 1987. An agreement was reached among industrialized nations to limit the production and use of chlorofluorocarbons to half the level of 1986. Till so far here, thank you. Have a nice day.